Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Veterans Florida Virtual Expo, presented by Bank of America. This is the agriculture panel about your personal experience with the Veterans Florida Agriculture Program. I'm Amy Entris, and I am the Agriculture Program Manager at Veterans Florida, and I'm a Navy veteran. I have experience in program management in several different industries, but in particular, in government contracting and also agriculture. So now we'll go ahead and get started with introductions. And if you would please tell us a little bit more about yourselves and what your role is with the agriculture program. And Charlene, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Amy. I'm a Lieutenant Colonel Charlene LaMountain. I just retired about 2 weeks ago. I'm part of the Skill Bridge program that Veterans Florida has put on. It is for transitioning retirees in the last 6 months of their employment in the Army, and they get to participate in this program. And so I participated as a fellow with the University of Florida out in the Wimauma campus.
Hey, thank you. Ray?
Hello, my name is Raymond. I am a Coast Guard veteran. I was a health service technician in the EMT. I am a fellow at the Veteran Agriculture Program and the Tropical Research Center in Homestead, Florida. And while I'm there, I am participating in different divisions of agriculture with agroecology, plant diagnostics, ornamentals, tropical fruit and research, and also field crew work, which will help me just understand which different aspects of agriculture can help me pursue my personal aspirations in medicine, and to also help me pursue aspirations in sustaining myself with just natural fruits and vegetables, while also maintaining the land. So a lot of different departments and just pretty much just gaining new knowledge, because a lot of this knowledge is actually new to me. So just pretty much just understanding, even with the plant diagnostics, the different funguses, bacterial, a lot of similar to the human health, except now we're just dealing with plant health, but a lot of things are actually in common. So it just helps me transition from human health to plant health, pretty much.
Great. Yeah, thank you. That sounds like a lot of information. So it's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll go on with you, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Gary Vlad. I am an Army National Guard veteran, and I'm also a full professor at the University of Florida. I'm at the Gulf Coast Research and Education Center, where I also administer the Veterans Florida Agriculture Program with Amy Entris.
Great. Thank you very much for those introductions. So we'll just get started with our discussion. And I think probably we just start with a broad question, which is, how did you become interested in agriculture? Gary, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Oh, geez. I'm a little strange because I actually grew up in Western North Dakota, surrounded by agriculture. And when I went to college, I was extremely interested in biotechnology, and a lot of that at the time was being done in plants. So I was really interested in cloning plants and manipulating plants for new traits. I really didn't want anything to do with applied agriculture, but I just sort of fell in love with it during college. I worked part-time during my bachelor's looking at fields for certification purposes and small grains and pulse crops, and really got started really enjoying doing my work out in the field and getting really good at identifying insects and different diseases. And then during my bachelor's, towards the end of my bachelor's, I decided that I wanted to do my master's in plant genetics. So I got my degree in plant genetics, and I really started liking working with the interaction between plant diseases and plants. And so, as my professor at the time said, I went to the dark side and went into plant pathology, because I really enjoy understanding how microorganisms can cause disease on larger organisms, humans and plants and animals. So, and that kind of left me to where I'm at today. So now I support the Florida ag community by providing our commercial growers with information in regards to managing different diseases that plague the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So before we continue, I just have one follow-on question for you, Dr. Vlad. How did you find out, or what sparked your interest in agriculture while you were in the Army National Guard? What specifically was it?
Um, there was nothing in the Army National Guard that stimulated my interest. Totally independent. So, you know, I was always kind of a science geek when I was in school, and you know, even in the Army, I was kind of a science geek. And yeah, I was a combat engineer, so you know, the thing I enjoyed the most about being in the military was going out and blowing things up. Where else do you get to do that in the civilian world?
No.
So I guess, you know, I could say, you know, being a plant scientist and especially being a plant pathologist, I just found a new enemy to combat. You know, one you can't visibly see with your naked eye. You need to use a microscope to see these organisms, but you know, it's still warfare, just different scale.
Fascinating. Oh, well, thank you for sharing your story. Charlene, would you like to continue?
Sure, mine's definitely not that complex. It's pretty simplistic. Um, I basically wanted to get out of the office. I really wanted to challenge myself physically and mentally into getting into a program that was totally unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. If the Army was going to pay for me to do this skill bridge, I really wanted to take advantage of it. And this program was the furthest from what I've ever done, and it was really worth the time and energy. I really appreciate it.
Good. Good to hear. Ray, you're up.
Okay, well, for me, like how Dr. Vlad said, no aspirations from the military to get involved in agriculture. It didn't exist. But I also like science by default. I always wanted to be a marine biologist, earth science, oceanography. So I like science. So with the agriculture, what really inspired it is that I was stationed in Miami. I'm still in Miami, and we have all these fruit trees and just food everywhere. And it kind of hit me like nobody's eating this stuff. Like got fruit trees rapidly growing. So I naturally started like picking fruits locally. And I'm like, oh, I like this, you know. As a kid, we used to pick fruits too as well. And then I started thinking about sustaining myself with just, I look at the money that I was spending on like mangoes and avocados versus me being able to go outside and just pick them for free, you know. And then so it kind of like I started just messing around with trying to plant seeds, started trying to grow beans, started trying to grow papaya, just little small things, oregano. And then I realized that I like this stuff. And then I realized at the same time that I could learn more, but I didn't have a door or a window to show me that. But I was just always just setting it back in my mind that I can learn more of this. So then when I did the Google search and I found this program, it's like the aspiration just went to full throttle. Like, oh, this is what I need to actually help me pursue what I'm interested in. And then so I guess I have a natural liking for agriculture because of food. And then I like to do natural medicine, like Ayurveda medicine. Like I like to use herbs and oils and tinctures for medicine, which comes through agriculture as well. So it was kind of more so I had the natural aspirations, but not realizing it. So like this Veteran Florida program, like literally just shifted my whole perspective on what I can possibly do now. So now it's more, I feel like I'm just going my natural path right now with agriculture, not necessarily feeling like I'm forced to do this or I have to do this. So the way I came across agriculture is I naturally have the interest in it, but this program is what really like just, I don't know, just open up a whole new perspective for me. Because the way I feel about agriculture now, I didn't have that strong aspiration for it prior to finding this program. But I always knew that I have a natural liking for it. So if it wasn't for this program, I wouldn't be thinking on the things that I'm thinking right now when it comes to medicine and agriculture. So it really did open up like a new way of like reprogramming my brain just by off of this program. So this program is what really is put into full perspective right now, rather than just I want to do this. Yeah, it's definitely this program.
Oh, that's really great to hear. And honestly, like you, I'm motivated by food, so I can totally relate.
Right.
So, we'll continue with that topic, and Charlene, we'll go back to you. If you could just briefly go over some highlights of the program that through your experience at the Gulf Coast Research and Education Center, please.
Sure. So I participated in 4 different labs. One was the pathology lab, one was the breeding lab, the next one was ornamentals, and the last one was trees. And I think that what I learned the most was the appreciation for the farming community and the agriculture community of the sheer amount of work and preciseness and everything that goes into even just starting a farm is very impressive, and it just makes me appreciate the farmer more every day. And the work that the University of Florida is doing in support of those farmers here in Florida is just amazing. They're very dedicated. And I mean, they're out there in the 100-degree weather, just like the farmer. They're picking tomatoes, tying up blackberries, taking out specimens to, get their DNA. So it's amazing that anything with all the complexities of being a farmer, it's amazing that anything grows and is good because, one bad rainstorm or one bad fly or one bad, seed and you have a bad crop. And I'm just really impressed on how University of Florida has been able to still be able to do their research and provide a great outcome for the for Florida farmers. So I really enjoyed learning all those processes that is involved, from everything from seed extraction to harvesting to testing to grading. So it was very fascinating to me. In the tree lab, that was probably my favorite lab because you weren't so constrained by the season. So you weren't in a rush all the time. Whereas, the tomatoes basically have a season. And so if you don't do it that season, then you missed an opportunity. Whereas the tree pretty much stays there. So it was very interesting to learn how they measured the trees and how they surveyed the trees throughout the county. So that's where my passion grew, was in the tree lab, but very fascinated by the entire process that the University of Florida does.
Mhm. And this will also give me a good opportunity to say that we're very appreciative at Veterans Florida of our partnership with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, IFAS for short. So I definitely want to say that, put that out there, because obviously we couldn't do this without you all. So, and Gary, you're our representative from IFAS today. So thank you very much for that. So, all right, well, we'll continue with some more highlights from Ray. So Ray, please go ahead.
Well, some of the highlights are the same as Charlene. A lot of things she said that I also went through as well. So the appreciation of the plants was a highlight. Like just understanding how one bug or one insect can ruin so much. I never really thought about that. So that was a highlight. And understanding like more of like biotechnology, extracting DNA from avocados, and learning more so field management and irrigation systems. That was a big highlight because I feel like no matter what, you need water, you need irrigation. So the irrigation system was a major highlight. Like I actually volunteered to go more with irrigation systems. And just I guess the different species that can grow down here, because at the research center in Homestead, they have so many different varieties of fruits and vegetables. I didn't even realize there was so many mangoes that's out there. So the whole program itself is a highlight because every day I'm learning something new. Dr. Crane, he's not up here, but he's like a walking encyclopedia. And you get so much information out of him. So just to understand how, like I say, the different plants, different insects, the different species, the different genetics, the biotechnology, the plant pathology, the irrigations. I can go on the agroecology, how the environment and agriculture work hand in hand. And even realizing there's so many trees in South Florida alone, because they have a South Florida tree book, and I was reading that, and just to realize that I'm surrounded by so much potential food and medicine without even realizing it was like, just like, that's like a major highlight. Because now I look at trees different. I walk past certain trees and I catch myself really looking at them, looking at the features, or wondering if there's medicinal properties in the stems or the leaves or the seeds. And these are all just major highlights because, like I was telling you before, it just made me reprogram my thinking as far as for agriculture. I don't look at it just more like, okay, farmers are planting and we're growing food, which is very important because I see them out there and yeah, they do a lot of work. So it just changed it's just a bigger, broader aspect on what agriculture can really be and how it's different divisions. Because even now I'm pretty sure I'll have newer highlights next month, you know, because every month it's always something different, always. And I'm retaining everything, but yeah, those are definitely major highlights, just to comprehend all these different things.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, well, and that actually is a good point, what you bring up about being in Homestead, which is the southern tip of Florida.
Right.
And that's the research being done at the Tropical Research and Education Center is focused on the different commodities and whatnot and issues that are affecting the agriculture industry in that region.
Yeah.
Whereas Dr. Vlad he works at the Gulf Coast Research and Education Center in Waimama, which is where Charlene went through the program. And he is focused on different areas of agriculture that different things that impact Hillsborough County region. So maybe Dr. Vlad, if you could elaborate on that a little bit more about just, basically a brief overview of how you all, how you find out about about areas things that are impacting the region in terms of what areas you focus on for research. Maybe just touch on that a little bit so that, our audience has a better understanding of why there are the different programs associated with the different centers around the state.
So, the REC system, or the Research and Education Center system at the University of Florida is extremely unique in regards to its size and scale. I don't think there's anything like this anywhere else in the United States. And we're really fortunate to have 13 RECs throughout the state. Every one of them kind of specializes in the commodities in that region. Okay. So of course, South Florida, especially in the Homestead area with TREC, the Tropical Research and Education Center, you have an extremely unique growing environment there, which is the reason why they decided to put a research station in that area. And that environment is pretty unique anywhere else in the world. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of things that are being grown in TREC. The only other place you're going to find where they're being grown in the United States would be in like Hawaii. Okay, so it gives you some really unique perspective of that industry there. And on top of that, you also have one of the largest ornamental industries in the United States is in the Homestead area as well. And that's an industry that continues to grow. The other RECs, there's one in Ona that specializes in cattle. There's several others that specialize in I think there's another one that specialized, a couple of them that specialize that have a lot more to do with industry and landscaping, like in Fort Lauderdale and up in Apopka as well. There's another REC that does a lot of work on vegetable crops in Immokalee, and one up in North Florida in Quincy as well as the Gulf Coast Research and Education Center. So, a lot of these are specifically at locations where you have different commodities being produced. Like the one up in Quincy, Florida has a lot of research that's done in row crops, because you get up in North Florida, you got a lot of peanuts and cotton and those types of row crops. You get into areas like Belgrade, that's located next to the Everglades. And of course, you've got a lot of research that's being done on sugarcane, rice, and also some vegetable productions in that area of the state, because the conditions there and the challenges they have are very unique. And I think that's the neat part about Florida. It has, it seems like it's not that big of a state, but if you look at the length of the state and just think about the environment and how it changes throughout the year from different parts of the state to another. I mean, especially when you think about like where you're at, Ray, what the conditions are like in December there versus going up to like Gainesville in December. There's a big difference, right? And that's really what's allowed Florida, its agriculture, to really thrive in the United States, because you have that capability of producing food practically year round. Now, the production area might change, right, throughout the state during the year, but it's there. So I think that's what kind of gives, those unique opportunities, and the researchers at these RECs are kind of strategically placed to address those different challenges. So does that kind of address what you want?
That's exactly it. Well, so Veterans Florida, like IFAS, has a broad outreach to the entire state. And I'm not sure, sometimes people have an appreciation for how diverse the state really is. So, and that does impact, of course, the experience that our fellows will have at the respective center. So I think it's good, just to provide some more information about, depending on what region that, a veteran or transitioning service member chooses, will impact their experience. So, yeah, and of course, there's more information on the individual programs that we offer at the respective centers on our website. So, and then also the IFAS websites too. So,
Yep.
so if anyone's interested in learning more, please do refer to those online resources. So, okay, so let's continue with another topic. So I'd like to know a little bit more about what this program has inspired you to do, or what is the outcome of the program. I know, Ray, you've spoken a lot about how it's provided a whole new set of impressions about the industry, and it has really given you more interest in learning more. What else have you learned from the program, or have you pursued any certification? Has it inspired you to go through with some, maybe another degree program, or what are some things that have resulted from your experience? And
Well,
Charlene will go back, or Ray, do you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
it doesn't matter, but as of now, I haven't necessarily pursued any program certificates, but I know that I want to pursue medicine, healthcare, and a lot of that deals with plant-based medicine, not necessarily marijuana, but just plant-based medicine. So the more that I'm learning about the different plants, and just by just growing them, for one, you need to know how to grow them and maintain them for anything. So my biggest thing is learning the concept of, like I say, irrigation systems, planting seeds, and field maintenance, soil preparation, fertilization, understanding all those different aspects on different crops. And then once understanding that, then help me convert into a more of a holistic medicine. Because one thing that they're doing at the research center, which I found interesting, is they're doing a research to see how the mango leaves can help cure diabetes. So that's a new medical research. So things like that spark my interest. So anything that's medical, I will definitely pursue. But if I had to, like, at the moment think of, okay, how are you going to survive? How are you going to make your income? I would shift over into agriculture sales. So that's something that I also share my interest in. Like, okay, if I need, because the healthcare is just a natural thing I want to do. But if I need to worry about how bills are going to be paid, what job would you take right now? It'll be something deal with agriculture sales, because I feel like people need fruits and vegetables, and that can be like that inner bridge to connect the farmers to the stores and to the communities, because I'm traveling back and forth from North Miami to Homestead, and that'll be like the biggest next thing I pursue. So more so agriculture business. If I pursue anything, it'll be agriculture business. Besides the healthcare, it'll be agriculture business. Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's really good information. Charlene, is there anything that you has kind of inspired you to do in the next, for your next steps?
Well, I think the Veterans Florida program really provided, for me at least, taking out the fear of agriculture, because if you weren't raised in it and you never been around it, you really don't know how to get into it. You don't know what's involved. And this really took the guesswork out of it for me. And if I were to pursue agriculture, I really know what I'm going to get into. And I really understand some really complex nuances that I might not have understood if I hadn't taken it. Um, uh, what I am interested, as I mentioned before, was the tree lab in arboriculture. I did get introduced to lots of resources with the ISA, the International Society of Agriculture. So I do know that there more certifications I can get involved with, which I would not have known had I not done the Skill Bridge. And I also met a lot of people like Dr. Valad, who I feel is a wealth of information, and he is a great mentor. And I don't feel at all intimidated to call him up and be like, hey, what is this thing I'm looking at? Or what's this dewy mildew? But it's, target spot, whatever it is. I feel very comfortable with the crew out in La Mama that I could call any of them and be like, hey, I really have a question. Could you help me out? They're really down to earth people. And if I hadn't done this program, there would be no way I'd be calling up a professor at the University of Florida.
Right. They're not that scary. Scary, isn't it? Yeah, so, and Dr. Vlad, would you just briefly maybe name some of the common certifications or licenses that some of the fellows have pursued? One, maybe inspired by this program or when they finish this program, ones that would, really lead to something to make them more competitive in the industry upon finishing the program.
Wow, boy, there's a bunch of them, and I know we try to give them as much information as possible. A lot of the information is really up to the university with the different certificates. I know there's some really good ones for GIS. I know I've talked to a number of different veterans that have retired from like the McDill Air Base that have experience with GIS. I'm like, no, there's this great certification program. We actually put that to use. I know there's ones for beekeeping. There's ones you can get through beekeeping. I know there's ones you can get through. You get your pesticide license is one that we've had a lot of people come through the program down in and got their licenses so they can apply pesticides. I know they have ones for irrigation systems. I know they have a certification for, I think they got one for BMPs, and I think they have one for ornamental crop production as well. The part I always feel bad about is that I'm not familiar with a lot of the details, so I kind of have to help them out and just kind of go and look online because all of them have different types of requirements. Some of them are virtual courses, and especially with getting through COVID now, a lot of that's always kind of up in the air about what the requirements are and what you need to do. But typically, if you reach out to a lot of the managers for a lot of these different certification programs, they're usually really good about making accommodations for you to make sure that you can get that certification. So.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Well, so we're kind of wrapping up today, but just in conclusion, I would really like to know, and I know our audience wants to know, what's some really great advice that you have for our veterans and transitioning service members or spouses who are interested in making a transition and working in the agricultural industry or pursuing something that they've already started and just getting behind that completely. So what's some advice that you have for them? Ray, do you want to start?
Okay, yes. I guess some of the advice would be find out if you have a common interest. Even if you're not sure if that's what you want to do, find out there's a common interest. Because I never really felt like I would be doing agriculture, but I see a lot of common interest that gives me enough reason why I should do it. So find a common interest. Make sure this is something that you want to do, not something you feel like you're forced to do, because it makes it more enjoyable when you want to do it and you're exploring new avenues. And be able to tolerate the heat, be able to be outside and tolerate those extreme conditions. Because fortunately for me, I've worked on Miami Beach. I've worked out there in the sun a lot. And so being in the field is kind of like I can adapt to it. But most people, they're shocked when I'm like, oh, I'm not hot, I'm fine. I've been out on the beach. But for those that are not used to those type of extreme conditions, it can be like a lot. It could be a lot. So definitely have a common interest, be able to tolerate outside conditions, and even like the constant motions of going up and down, moving around, body movements. Because when you're planting, work irrigation system, you're always like working your back and your legs, and it may be your body may not be used to those sort of movements, so it can like put a lot of stress on your body. So definitely be aware of your body movements and honestly stretch and exercise because it takes a toll on you. These 3 months I felt it already. Not like extreme, but in a sense where I've never worked in agriculture. My first time working in a field like this was at this program. I've never worked in a field before. So when I'm out there planting seeds with them, I'm realizing like I need to understand that my back may not be used to this or my knees may not be used to this. So I need to be mindful of that. So just awareness, at least some sort of awareness. But definitely common interest and awareness. My biggest two advice.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And you did mention this earlier, but I don't think we were recording at that moment, but hydration.
Yes,
right?
hydration.
Definitely a hydration.
Hydration, yes.
Yeah. And, and we're also, we're specifically just talking about working in agriculture outside, but there are supplementary roles or ancillary roles in agriculture where you don't have to be outside all the time.
Yeah,
But I believe what you're saying in terms of the heart of agriculture is outdoors.
yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Charlene. Would you like to give some advice?
I would just say similarly, just come in with a curiosity mindset. If you're open to learning, you're going to be learning something every day, even if it's learning how to get a seed out of a tomato. It is a learning, it's an education, and you'll never experience anything like it anywhere else in your life. So if you just come in with that mindset of what am I going to do today, you'll be surprised. And yeah, I definitely lost about 10 pounds. And so, yeah, there's that.
That's great. We could make this into a fitness program too.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like version 2.0. Great. All right. Thank you. How about you, Gary?
I don't think I could add much more than what Ray and Charlene just said. I think, yeah, come in with an open mind, be inquisitive, ask questions, and, don't be afraid of failure. You can't make a step forward without taking a risk. And this is definitely a program. If you've ever had an interest in agriculture, you just want to be exposed to it and understand, kind of like what you mentioned before, agriculture is huge. There's many different facets. There's many different industries that support agriculture. It's not necessarily in the field, but like you said, it is the heart of agriculture, is getting your hands in the dirt, or getting that, like I like to say, is getting that foot in the furrow. Okay, but there's a lot of other things that go on in agriculture, and I think the experience is just having an open mind and being willing to see and ask questions about things that that even myself, being in agriculture for so many years, take for granted. I think those are one of the things that kind of surprise me sometimes. I'll have VFAP fellows ask me certain questions. I'm like, that's a really good question. I never thought about that. Well, here's the explanation for it. And again, it's because I've been doing it for so long. There's a lot of things I take for granted that sometimes having someone come in who has a fresh perspective, kind of helps identify those opportunities. And the nice thing is that the VFAP fellows I've seen come in, they all come in with their different experiences. They all come in with their different perspectives of what agriculture is. And I think a lot of them gain a lot of insight about what agriculture really is. There's what you see on TV and what we kind of conceptualize, and then there's reality. I think this is a great way for you to kind of come in and look for that truth of what agriculture really is, and really kind of do that soul searching about, hey, what in agriculture can I contribute to, and that's going to make me happy and fulfilled. So,
yeah. Well, those are all great words of wisdom. So thank you. And coming from the three of you, I'm looking at myself, but coming from the three of you, that's very meaningful. So kind of you all have been there, done that. So definitely appreciate what you've offered today. And I thank you for your time. And if any of our audience would like to learn more about our program, you can go to veteransflorida.org/agriculture. So thank you again to the three of you. Couldn't do this without you. So really appreciate your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.